In tonight's edition, the 191 visa processing delays petition, childcare workers assessment update, Labor taunts Peter Dutton over the SIV visa, the aged care labour agreement flop, how the 482 visa is unfair to regional employers, is Home Affairs following the Donald Trump playbook on migrants, and vet sector turns against vet sector using a Dobbin line. Hi, I'm Karl Konrad and welcome to the weekly edition of Australian Immigration News. And finally, it has arrived in the post, express from the YouTube office. And yes, you guessed it, it's our 100,000 subscriber plaque. This plaque symbolises our channel success and the dedication of reaching that 100,000 subscriber mark, and I'm proud to hang it up on the office wall as a reminder of what we've accomplished together. Now, with a bit of real magic, I believe we can turn this momentum into gold. Let's work together to reach our next goal of 1 million subscribers, and thank you so much for being part of the journey. Today I want to address an important issue affecting many individuals and families seeking to settle in Australia through the 191 visa. The lengthy processing times of nearly 12 months are causing significant distress. In light of these concerns, a petition has been initiated to voice these issues to the government. I recently received an email about this petition started by AJ, which focuses specifically on the 191 visa applicants and is numbered EN7088. If you share these concerns about the lengthy waiting periods and their impact upon your lives, I encourage you to participate in the petition and make your voices heard. It has already over 4,000 signatures. Together we can strive for a change that allows for a more manageable pathway to permanent residency. I'll leave a link to the petition in the description of the video. This week we received an update from ASQA regarding the skill assessment process for childcare workers. Unfortunately, they confirmed the obvious. Approval of this process has yet to be granted, and they did not give information on when this may be rectified. In the meantime, the Department of Home Affairs has released a policy statement that offers some clarity. They stated that individuals who already possess a skill assessment as a childcare worker (group leader) can utilise this assessment to match the Consolidated Sponsored Occupation List, the CSOL. It's important to note that these two occupations share the same ASQA code, 421111. This clarification is beneficial to those eager to lodge their direct entry 186 employee nomination application and are lucky to have that skill assessment ready to go. So if you're in a hurry to submit your application and you already hold that skill assessment, migration agents and lawyers have been reassured by the policy section that you are permitted to use it for your application. This crucial information was supplied by the Migration Institute of Australia based on the response they received from the Department of Home Affairs policy section. The Minister for Immigration this week got stuck into Peter Dutton during parliamentary question time about the defunct SIV visa. He outlined clearly why the visa was scrapped in July last year and why it should never come back.
The Productivity Commission had made clear that in a program where you have a limited number of permanent visa applications that get approved, every one of these visas takes away from another part of the program. And when they have costed what it is to take away from permanent skilled migration, the cost to the Australian economy, not our figures, Productivity Commission figures, $2.5 billion. There are good reasons why this government got rid of applications for that visa. Now, we first found out that this visa would be on the way back under the Leader of the Opposition, not through an announcement. We know from the Sunday Telegraph it wasn't because of a shadow cabinet process or a party room process. No. This came about, we found out, because someone asked him a question at a fundraiser and once again there was a boom mic overhead. That's how the public found out about this.
Needless to say, the SIV will remain dead as long as Labor is in power, and credit where credit is due, it is one of the many positive reforms they undertook since coming into government. Many of you may recall the fanfare surrounding the new aged care labour agreements introduced by the former Immigration Minister Andrew Giles. However, direct access to the union movement has been a critical issue, leading to low participation from businesses in these agreements.
There are calls for more aged care facilities to take advantage of a federal government agreement as the industry struggles to find employees. As Justine Conway reports, despite an urgent need, only a handful of providers have applied to access overseas workers.
An article in The Australian this week spotlighted this failure, revealing that only 5 visas per month have been granted through this labour agreement stream. The situation illustrates yet another instance of the Labor Party failing to recognise current challenges in the immigration sector and craft effective policies. The aged care labour agreement was initially intended to bring hundreds of workers to support this crucial sector. Yet 2 years later, we find ourselves back to square one, with demand continuing to rise unabated. The introduction of the new skills in demand visa using the 482 subclass has failed to ease the pressure on the aged care sector, primarily because personal support workers were excluded from the consolidated sponsored occupation list. In a puzzling twist though, childcare workers, seen as more valuable, were included. We're still awaiting outcomes from the Essential Skills program within the Skills in Demand visa framework, and it's astonishing that after all this time, the government has not developed a concrete plan to assist the aged care industry. This week, the ABC reported on a regional employer facing the prospect of losing all 3 chefs working in his cafe since he cannot afford the immigration fees, which amount to over $10,000 to sponsor them. This highlights the challenging position regional employers find themselves in regarding the high costs associated with sponsoring staff. Why can't the government create concessions for regional Australia? Otherwise, no one will be motivated to work there.
Daniel Richards says the staff have ticked all the right boxes but have still received no clarity regarding permanent residency.
They're taxpayers, they're contributors to society. We just need to understand their position and not treat them in the way that we're treating them. So, Australia's the land of opportunity, it's not the land of bait and switch.
Former Immigration Minister Andrew Giles appeared on the ABC radio program, but in typical political fashion, he avoided answering the pressing questions. Instead of addressing the unfairness in the system, Giles shifted to focus to integrity issues, which undermines the impact on actual visa holders.
When it comes to our migration system, there's a couple of points to be made, and they go to the heart of the work that we've done in government and rebuilding it. We do need to focus on pathways to permanency rather than an over-reliance on temporary forms of migration. But we also need to have a system that really has integrity at its core, where a person who applies for a visa does the work or undertakes the study associated with the visa.
And to maintain public attention on these integrity issues, the Australian Border Force released information about operations targeting cafe and restaurants employing sponsored visa holders in collaboration with Fair Work Australia. Recently, they conducted inspections of 40 Melbourne businesses. In their press release, it states, the focus of the joint inspections was on fast food outlets, restaurants and cafes, but inspections also extended to businesses in retail, hair and beauty, wholesaling and manufacturing sectors. The on-the-ground inspections, which began on Monday, targeted those employing sponsored visa holders under the Temporary Skills Shortage Subclass 482 visa program. In Australia, chef is one of the top occupations for sponsored visa holders. Imagine not just having a handful of immigration compliance officers, but also Fair Work Australia representatives demanding access to your business and interviewing staff. And if you think that may be intimidating, consider this week the raids conducted in Queensland farms on the Granite Belt and Stanthorpe areas. Australian Border Force officers collaborated with multiple agencies, including the Department of Employment and Workplace Relations, WorkCover Queensland and Queensland Police. That is a lot of agencies altogether in one place. It must have been one hell of a bus trip out to the countryside. In future editions, I'll be sharing an intriguing story about how 5 Immigration Department officers visited one of my clients' workplaces unannounced and how ultimately that didn't turn out well for them. Australia must avoid adopting practices reminiscent of Trump's America. Meanwhile, ASQA continues to focus on weeding out dodgy operators. This week they have accelerated their promotion of their tip-off or dob-in line. Dobbing in a subpar vector sector operator seems to have become the trend of the month, with even competitive operators eager to report each other, often without concrete evidence. In their newsletter release this week, ASQA addressed this competitive snitching, assuring reputable vet sector operators that they act fairly. They stated, ASQA relies on evidence, not information, in making regulatory decisions. No doubt all this frenzied activity at ASQA is spurned on by the national media keeping up the heat, like this excellent program on ABC's 7:30 report this Wednesday.
Welcome to the program. Now, I understand from you that SAY is one of more than 18,000 students who've had their qualifications cancelled in the last 4 months by the regulator. It's an incredible number. Just how pervasive is this issue?
Oh, it's really pervasive, Sarah. There are 4,000 private colleges in Australia, and industry insiders estimate about a third of them are shonky. That's domestic and international.
Stay tuned next week for more insights into the Australian immigration system. Anything can change at any time, so subscribe so you don't miss out. Remember, we are always here to lend assistance and advice when you need it. You can book a time online, but if you're in a hurry, pick up the phone and see if there are any urgent slots available. As always, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.